Don't forget, some things mustn't be forgotten. The shadow hunting me. I must hurry. My name is Daniel. I live in London at Mayfair. What have I done? This is crazy. Don't forget. Don't forget. I must stop him. Focus. My name is... Yes. I am Daniel.
Well, hi guys, my name's Aaron. I also go by Iron Nubcake on the internets. And this is one of my first videos on YouTube, that's why I'm introducing myself by name. And I decided that I was going to do a walkthrough for Amnesia: The Dark Descent. The reason I decided to do a walkthrough instead of a Let's Play or a playthrough is two reasons, really. One is, back when the game first came out, I watched an entire playthrough of the game. I really enjoyed the playthrough, and then I decided to play through it myself. And if I was going to do a playthrough, I shouldn't have played through it already, and I shouldn't have watched someone else play through it before then. But even seeing playthroughs and stuff like that, I feel like there's not really a good walkthrough for the game, because a lot of the playthroughs take a lot of unnecessary time looking through things, or, you know, what have you. And I decided that I was going to try to beat the game, show how you beat each part, and explain some parts about the game. Now, before I actually get started with that though, a little bit of a warning. If you're playing the game to enjoy the game to its fullest, I highly, highly suggest playing through without a walkthrough, without asking people for help, and without knowing what's happening. Because that's one of the things in this walkthrough. I am going to talk about, you know, the various monsters you encounter, and the best way to play through the game is to not know where they're going to spawn, not know what happens, and to take everything by surprise for the first go. The game's a lot more fun that way, and I promise, even if it's scary, you will enjoy the game. But, that being said, let's get started with the game. And I guess I'll start with the controls. You got WASD for movement. You've got leaning with Q and E, space for jump, control for crouch, and you can hold shift to move faster. Right now it's not very noticeable, but, well, it's there. Look around with the mouse. You interact with objects with the left and right mouse button at doors. Click, then drag to open the door. Pick up objects like this tinderbox with left click, and other objects like this chair. You can pick it up by holding left click. You can throw it with right click, and that also does work on doors, so you can, you know, push a door open quicker. And another thing you can do is, if you're holding an object, if you want to, by default you can hold R and then move the mouse around to rotate the object. So there's normally not much reason to do that, but, you know, you can do it. Now, one other thing that you need to know about the game is that it makes use of triggers, and a trigger is exactly what you think it is. A trigger activates, like I walk right here, and then Daniel starts flipping his crap, and, you know, stuff like that happens. Triggers can be a lot of different things. Picking up an item, touching an item, like if I touch this door, that happens. A lot of the ones that are important to remember are walking places and picking up items. Those are the two that are really going to get to you. There are also some puzzle completion triggers, but those are fewer and far in between, or farther, not farer. But for this first part of the game, I'm just kind of walking around showing you the general path you can take and showing you where some of the tinderboxes are and stuff. I don't remember where all of the tinderboxes are, so I'm probably going to open closets that I don't need to, and I will probably miss a couple tinderboxes and maybe an oil potion or two. I hope not to miss those, because oil is very useful, and you'll see why in a little bit. The first part of the game, there is nothing you really need to worry about. There's a whole bunch of scary kind of stuff like this. Daniel's freaking out and stuff, but there are no enemies. And it's just to get you introduced to the game and to get you into the atmosphere of the game. That's another thing about the game. The game is a very awesome game to play on its own, but to get the full experience of the game, you need to play the game like you're in the game, not like you're trying to beat the game, because that ruins a little bit of it. The atmosphere is fantastic in this game if you let yourself be immersed in it. So, don't be afraid to, well, let yourself be a little afraid. It's okay, it makes the game more fun. And I think there's a tinderbox in here, and nope, just a shirt. Waste of my time. Here's another fun little trigger. Oh, look, it's a bright and shiny, beautiful room. And now it's not. So we're gonna leave. We're going to go down these stairs, hop on a pillar, and go to the next room. The old archives. Again, I would like to reiterate that I am making this game to show how to beat the game if you are stuck. Like I said, even if it takes a little while, you will enjoy the game more if you play through it all on your own. Looking up a guide, like in most games, it's going to ruin parts of the game. You might see a spoiler you didn't want to see, or you know, it doesn't feel the same if you're not beating the game on your own. So, try to play through it on your own before you continue with this guide or anything else. And that's the lovely lantern, and I guess I can't open that until I pick up the lantern. And I'm gonna grab that tinderbox. See if there's anything else in this room. Okay, and something about the lantern. The lantern is your portable light source. You can press F by default to take the lantern out, press it again to take it away. Your lantern oil is right there. You will find extra jars of oil throughout the game, and I will show you what those look like because there is one coming up. There's that tinderbox in this room. It's in here, isn't it? Yep. There we go. Okay. And for the first part of the game, you can pretty much just follow the pink juice. It is the leftover parts of a potion. It is not blood, like I've seen many people call it. This is an oil potion, right here. It's, yeah, they're pretty easy to spot. All of the items of importance, you can grab them, well, all of the ones of importance that you can grab and interact with are going to be glowy, like this little note, which is going to introduce you to the backstory of Daniel, the character you're playing as.
19th of August, 1839. I wish I could ask how much you remember.
Now,
don't be a god.
Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on the story because the idea is that this is meant for you to be able to get through the game, not to pay attention to the story. When you go through the game, anytime you get a note that has Daniel's voice acting, I highly suggest listening to it. The story of the game is pretty cool. The ones that don't are not as important, but will give you additional information and often clues to solving puzzles, but those will show up in your mementos or notes whenever there's an important part of a note that you find. Also, this room is your first little puzzle. Looks like a dead end, but you pull this lever right here, as I just did a second ago. It opens the bookshelf, and the secret passage, which will lead you to the entrance hall. The entrance hall is a room in the game that is the first hub of the game, and a hub is basically a safe room in the game. Nothing, well, I don't want to say nothing bad can happen to you. You can be hurt, and sometimes there will be things that will drop your sanity, but generally safe rooms are safe for monsters.
Is it inside the castle?
In a manner of speaking. Come, bring the lamp. You've been to the refinery, have you not?
I don't believe I have. Is it connected to the... what did you call it?
The inner sanctum. My most precious chamber, Daniel. And it lies well beyond the refinery. In fact, it lies beneath the very stone of Brennenburg.
Okay. That was one of the many flashbacks Daniel will have. As you got from the beginning of the game, in the old archives and the rainy room, I believe it's called, what you get from there is that Daniel has taken a potion that will induce amnesia, so he can forget something, you don't know what yet, and he tells himself that he needs to kill Alexander. And he also mentions a shadow that's following you, and until now, your only visible sign of the shadow is like little gusts of wind and stuff like that, but there's one part of the shadow that you need to be aware of, and it is this. At various points in the game, usually when you finish a room or something like that, this will happen. This red, fleshy stuff will appear, and this stuff, in most cases, can hurt you. So be careful. Do not walk on it for excessive amounts of time. It will kill you within a few hits, so be careful. Now, as they were talking about in that flashback, you've got this room down here that leads to the refinery. But, as you see in here, there's this red, fleshy stuff that is tough and pliant, and it can't be torn by hand or tools. So we need to find a way to get past that so we can get to the refinery and progress through the castle and eventually make it to the inner sanctum and kill Alexander. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but, you know, where are you supposed to go? Now, like I said before, this is a hub. It is a safe room, and hubs, just like they sound, lead to several other places, or have many connected places. The refinery being the final place that we will go to. That will mean we do not need to come back here. When we make it to the refinery, there's no reason to come back here. And in most cases, you can't go to previous hubs. Now, that being said, if you're going through the game and you think you missed something, if you cannot get to an area, you do not need to go back there. So, don't worry if you finish an area and you think, oh, well, maybe I forgot something. The only thing you could have forgotten is a tinderbox or two, or maybe an oil potion, but everything important you will be able to get. Now, this hub, the Grand Hall, the entranceway to the castle, leads to 3 rooms that you need to explore. The laboratory, the wine cellar, which is currently locked, and up there, the old archives. We're going to go to the old archives first, because that will allow us to get the key for the wine cellar. Now, as you're going up the stairs, someone's going to be screaming, or so Daniel thinks. Throughout the game, Daniel will have many hallucinations. He will have many flashbacks. In the beginning, those flashbacks will mostly be like the one down there. They will be him and Alexander talking, or him talking, or him and a prisoner, or something like that. Later in the game, and in one instance, early in the game, he will have a vivid flashback where he actually sees things, or actually has to do things to progress through the flashback. Now, down there is just a room that's boarded up, as you can see. And this is the old archives, like I said. But I don't want these videos to be too long in themselves, so I hope this was a pretty good introduction to the game, a good introduction to the walkthrough, and in the next video, which should be uploaded right around the same time, I'm going to actually show you how to progress through the archives, the wine cellar, and the laboratory, to be able to make it into the refinery. And until then, hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I think that's about it. So, yep, see you in the next video. You can like, comment, favorite, subscribe, I don't really care. It's up to you. This is pretty much my first real video, so I don't expect anyone to do that. But hey, if you do, you might get a cookie from a random stranger. So, bye guys.